welcome back to another weekly reading vlog with me. Okay, so here's some updates, some reading updates, life updates, just you know how this goes. I'm behind again. Who's surprised? Not anyone, not me. I'm sure not you if you've seen these reading vlogs. So I haven't read any more of Royal Assassin. I hope to tonight, but I honestly say that all the time in these things and it never happens, but I'm hoping to tonight. However, I've meant to over the weekend because I had a long weekend. It was very nice. You can see a little bit of it. I think it's in this vlog. You see a little bit of it. Yeah, you just seen a little bit of it. And I was going to read Royal Assassin and the arc that I started, The Drowned Woods. But I haven't really gotten any farther than those because I became obsessed with my new audiobook. So my new audiobook is Raelia. This is the second in the Akarne series, the Meteran Chronicles, but it's the sequel to Akarne, which I read last month and really, really loved. And it's just an easy, fun read. I love it. I already have only 3.5 hours left of like real people time in this book, and I'm obsessed. I mean, it's not, so I think at first, I definitely thought it was better than the first one. I do think it has a little bit of pacing issues. Like, there's this very odd, like, field trip, which is basically taken almost the entire, like, it's taken the entire second half of this book so far, and I don't know what else is gonna happen in 3 hours. Like, it's interesting. It's an interesting choice. But I think it could be good. I think that it could end, I think it's about to end soon. I don't know where we're going. I think it could either end pretty well or it could end pretty weirdly. The big plot that it like tells us about in the back of the book is not that big of a thing, which is interesting. So I'm just gonna be reading that today and trying to get through that. Just for fun when I want to, and then I will pick up Drowned Woods and Royal Assassin when I'm sick of listening to an audiobook and want to read something physically. As for school, we are winding up the school year. So I have, after today, 7 days left with the kids. 6.5 because one day's a half day, and then I have that half day and another day for grading, I think. But I'm honestly trying to get done before that because I don't want to be there. It's going pretty well at school. I think I'm getting kids to not be failing and like not passing the class. I'm getting more kids passing the class. So that's very good. That's been my goal. Taking over as a long-term sub where the kids didn't really know what was happening and I'm their third teacher this year. Like, being a long-term sub, replacing a long-term sub for the last month, you can only hope for so much, and the kids have honestly exceeded my expectations. They've been great, and I'm pretty impressed with the ethic they've showed trying to get their stuff done and just like get out of here for the summer. And my 9th graders are lovely. They're so cute. Just had to deal with a crock pot disaster. Don't worry about me. What was I saying? Oh, yes. My 9th graders are adorable and very cute and very fun. My 9th graders are great. They're very energetic. They're very fun. There's several that I feel like I've made relationships with. And then my 11th graders are very chill, honestly. They have like a very chill vibe, but they're really cool. Like, it's interesting to get to know the different grades. I've taught every grade in high school now except for 12th grade. So that's interesting. And after next year, I will have taught every grade in middle school except for 6th. So school's going well, but I don't have very much time to read there, and I try to get out as soon as I can. But it doesn't always happen. Don't always get home at a reasonable time for me to be reading. But my goals are to finish Raelia and then get a good ways into the Drowned Woods and Royal Assassin. I have other things that I want to pick up, but I think I'm going to try and get a bit of the ways into the Drowned Woods and Royal Assassin before I even start thinking about the next things, because I just need to focus. So yeah, I will talk to you a little later, I hope, when I have some updates on Raelia and other things. some updates. I have finished 2 excellent books and started a 3rd. It is fairly late at night, so I'm going to be talking pretty quietly so that I don't wake anyone. But I am loving what I'm reading right now. Loving. I have 4 updates for you. The first is I finished Raelia. I finished it on June 1st. It is currently June 4th. That book hurt. I loved it. I think I loved it a little bit more than a Carne. I don't know. There was definitely some moments in the middle of Raelia that were a little like, okay. But I just loved the friendships and the characters so much more in this one, so the enjoyment was more, I think. And then it had me like screaming at the end. Like I was so distraught by the ending. This book really picked up the stakes, and some bad things happened at the end that I was just not expecting. And I'm worried for these characters. These characters are my babies. And I have to read book 3 this month. But I need a break because I've been emotionally devastated by Raelia. This is shaping up to be my new favorite like YA series because I just love it. I just love all the characters, and I love its cheesiness. I love its stakes. I love its setting. It's been a while since I had like a portal fantasy kind of classic-y old type YA fantasy that I absolutely loved, and it feels so familiar but also is unique enough that I'm like, this is good. It's just totally for me. I absolutely love it. I wish I could say more about Raelia, but I really don't want to spoil things, but there was like a questy element to it. Really the back of the book summary is not necessarily the plot of the book. It's like a beat in the plot, but it's not like the big plot. My like one criticism is there was parts of the book at the end, the part that was really devastating, where there was a character who seemed very, like, there were moments seemed out of character. Like, as he was speaking, I was like, okay, but you would never say that. You would never do that. You'd never feel that. And there may be an in-world explanation for it, but I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if it's enough. So that's, like, the big thing with Raelia, that I was like, this is upsetting, and I don't know if I fully like it. But I kind of see what the author was trying to do, I think. So there may not be like an out of character moment or a plot hole there. I can't get into too many more details just because of spoilers, but I love Raelia. It was just that part was not as well done as I guess I wanted. I don't know. After Raelia, after I finished it, I was distraught. I had 2 audiobooks come in. One was A Psalm for the Wild Built. It came in my library. And this is, I'm sure you've heard of it, it's Becky Chambers' newest book. It came out in 2021, and I believe the sequel comes out next month, so I will definitely be reading that because I loved it. This is my new favorite sci-fi thing ever. I just love it. So in it we follow a tea monk named Dex. Well, Dex is a gardening monk or a gardener monk, and then they have like a change of career into a tea monk, and they live in this world where kind of all the issues of society, like climate change and things, like humanity kind of banded together and like figured it out. Like, so it's a solar punk world. And then there was also when humans created robots, and then robots a long time ago like developed consciousness and like souls and like human-esque emotions and willpower and things, and so it was then like morally wrong to keep them in servitude. So the humans were like, oh my god, like what do we do? And the robots were like, we just kind of want to go into the forest, the woods, and like be by ourselves. And humans were like, yeah, you do you. And so that's what the robots did. And no one's ever heard from them again, and they seem to be kind of like a folklore myth, like old wives' tale sort of thing, even though it is also part of the history of the world. So our T-Monk, Dex, is a human, and they basically love what they're doing, but simultaneously are not fulfilled by it, or at least not all the time. And so they leave and take like a break in order to like figure out what they want in life, what they want to do. And so they start heading into the forest. Lo and behold, they meet a robot who has been tasked with finding out what humans need to survive. It's like wanting to make contact again on behalf of its people with humans. And the robot's name is Mosscap, and Dex and Mosscap are such a delight. This whole book was such a delight. Things I loved about this book. I mean, Dex as a main character was great. Dex is just so relatable in so many ways. Dex is very like chaotic and unsure, and just like has like just a funny way of saying things. Dex like curses a lot. That's one thing I really loved. So Dex is a monk and is very like devout to the religion that is like in the world, but it's not like a Christian or like Western type of religion that we know. It's nothing like that. So the way that Dex is a monk is like very different from like what monks are like in our world. So it was just funny to see like Dex cursing all over the place when they're a monk, and I was just like, this is great. But Dex I loved as a main character. I loved them so much. And then Mosscap was one of my favorite AIs ever. I think definitely over Murderbot, and maybe over Mbot, because Mbot, I love Mbot, but Mbot is annoying and Cytonic, and Mosscap is just perfect. And Mosscap is just so like sweet and like wanting to be friends, and like Dex is like, I'm not really here for being friends at first, but then they have like such a sweet bond and so many sweet moments and so many funny moments. There's so many funny moments in this, just so much like comedic moments in this. That was another thing I loved. Sometimes it was through Dex's voice, sometimes it was through just like the story, random moments, the narration. Different things made this funny. There are times when I was laughing, and there were also times that were so emotional and so just like hard, like not hard, but like, I mean, it was hard for the characters, and it was just like deep stuff and like things that hit, you know? So when Dex is like talking about what they feel and like wondering why they feel the way they do, there's just so many relatable things about that. And then when the way that Mosscap tries to help Dex is just so beautiful. There's so many discussions and ideas in this book as well, which I absolutely loved, about like your purpose and whether you even need a purpose, and like whether like how you are wonderful even if you don't have one, and like you don't have to have this like some big calling or whatever to be good and worth it. And it was just so sweet. There were so many things about like really big existential sort of questions, and like that humans deal with all the time, of like, what if I'm insignificant? What if I am unfulfilled? What if I never find my purpose? And the answer is just like, so much of those conversations are answered with like, maybe you won't find your purpose, maybe you won't have any of that, and you're still wonderful anyways, and your purpose is not what makes you you. And it was just like, so it was just such an interesting idea, and there was so much in it that I'd already been thinking, and there was just like a fleshing out of those ideas that I just really loved. It was just such a sweet novella, and I absolutely adored it. I gave it 5 stars. If I couldn't tell, I've already bought myself a copy. I love this, and I will be reading A Prayer for the Crown Shy as soon as it comes out. I will be buying myself a copy of it. I am so thrilled with this new series. Does anyone know? If you know this, let me know.
Does anyone know if it's just a duology? Like, is A Prayer for the Crown Shed the last one? Or is it gonna, because I feel like there's potential for both. Like, I feel like we could just have one in the forest and one traveling through Penga or whatever the place is called. And, or we could have like one in the forest and then like several traveling from different other places in Penga. Like, we could have one in different, I could see like a whole long series, like ongoing series of just Dex and Mosscap going to different places in Penga and like talking about different things and meeting different people, and it would just be cute. But maybe that's not the vision, and maybe it's just two. I don't know. If you know, let me know. I would read like 10,000 of these, but at the same time it's also like I could see this becoming kind of stale. So maybe just two is good. I don't know. Anyways, I loved A Psalm for the Wild Built. Then I will talk about Royal Assassin next because I've read some of that. I am on page 450. So that means I only have like 200 pages left. And so what I'm gonna try to do is read 100 pages on Sunday, tomorrow, and then 100 pages on Monday. It's a school day, I don't know. And I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but that's what I would like to do so I can finally finish this book, and that will probably happen in the next vlog. I mean, what to say about Royal Assassin? It's still great. I think it's gone on so long and it has so like, it's so very meandering that I don't think it'll be a full 5 stars. Right now it's feeling more 4.5, but that's still wonderful. It's still a great book. It's still one that I'm loving every second of, and just think that like, it is just such a good, like, it's so easy to get into Robin Hobb's writing style and to just be with these characters and be doing nothing, but also have like extremely high stakes. I don't know, it's a very weird balance that Robin Hobb strikes in these books. The one thing I don't love is like, I know a lot of people feel this way, the like romance that's going on with Fitz. Oh my god, like I could not, like, it's a little old at this point. Like, him and Molly is a little bit old. It's getting old for me. But for some reason, I still, like, love this book. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about Royal Assassin. And finally, another book that I'm currently reading, and I spent several hours today reading. I'm gonna finish the last hour tomorrow morning because I really want to be drinking coffee when I finish it, and that's because I'm reading Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, the slice of life fantasy that is taking booktube by storm and the fantasy world by storm, as it should, because this is a phenomenal book. This is a short, like 300-page slice of life fantasy about an orc that gives up a life of like fighting and warrior, like a warrior band stuff, and opens a coffee shop in this like metropolitan area, and it's just so good. So there's just like one thing I love about this. I love so many things about this, but first of all, I love our main character. What's her name? Viv. So I love Viv, and I especially love, oh god, what's her name? Tandri, I think? Tandri? I love Tandri, which is the person who runs the coffee shop with Viv. But we literally see Viv make this coffee shop from the ground up. And you're just like, for me, I was just like so invested in her journey, like from the beginning. And it's just so nice to see this coffee shop literally come together, like see how it gets built, and then how they start getting people to come, and then what things they add to the menu, and how like one by one like they get customers or people who believe in them or new employees, and it's just so good. So that's one thing I loved, like seeing that journey from the ground up. And then I love the characters. I love there's like a romance between well, I think there's what I think is going to be a romance. It's really not a huge part of the book. It's a very like slow and like small part of the book. I think there's gonna be a romance between our main character and another employee, and it is so good. It's making me very happy. I'm like so excited because I think things are gonna happen. But then another thing I love is there's a lot of discussion about like solving problems without violence, and like it's just a very different sort of fantasy book, because the life of of Viv is not looked upon with judgment necessarily, but also like there is an understanding that like Viv is done with that life now, and it isn't the best and easiest life to have, and it's just not the best. So it's kind of treated in some ways like Viv has to be constantly sort of reined in from going, or has to rein herself in from going back to that and solving problems like a quicker way, or because, and like actually having to solve problems like a normal person. And so that's a really interesting journey to see. Different things about like the coffee shop keep like coming up. So like the baking, like all these different like coffee shop treats like keep being baked, and like they've just invented chocolate croissants where I am, and it's so good. And then like the different traits of a coffee shop are sort of being developed. Like sometimes there's like hip live music, and sometimes there's a study vibe, like, you know, like there's just like a real love of coffee and of peace and like a quiet life in this book that I love, similar to A Psalm to the Wild Build, but it's like A Psalm to the Wild Build is just speaking to me and speaking to my like want to just like sit in a coffee shop and chill, or like just like live vicariously through them for a bit. And it's so good. And like I can just so feel, I don't even like cinnamon rolls that much, but the way that like the food in this book is described, like the cinnamon rolls especially, is like making me love them. And in the coffee, like I have a love of espresso and lattes and stuff, so the way that they are discussed by everyone and just described in the way that Viv loves them so much, and that's just like totally inspired to create this shop because of it. Like it is so relatable and I love it. I also love like there's like an actual like coffee machine, and I never like with technology and stuff, I never like think about that stuff being in a fantasy world, especially like unless it's like, you know, like a sci fantasy type situation. But it's just like, why couldn't it be? Like in this, the espresso machine is basically like a gnomish creation, and I'm like, yeah, why couldn't it be? And now that like Travis Baldree has made this, it seems like, oh, we could have been doing this the whole time, but to my knowledge, nobody was. And so it's just like so cool. Like I love it. I love Legends and Lattes. Everyone has said how amazing it is, and I will be finishing it tomorrow, but I think I'm going to end this vlog here, so I will update on finishing, hopefully, Royal Assassin and Legends and Lattes next week. Oh, I wanted to say that I haven't read any more of The Drowned Woods because I requested the audiobook version on NetGalley, and I'm trying to wait it out and see if they give me that, but I don't know if it's going to happen, so I may just read it on Kindle. But either way, I've mostly been focusing on the Royal Assassin, so I haven't read any more of Drowned Woods. But I will let you know what I'm reading next week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.